Welcome to Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Joyous conversations about what the afterlife evidence and modern science combine to tell us is true about our one reality. You have nothing to fear. You are eternal and you are perfectly loved. Knowing the truth changes everything. Now, here's Roberta.
My dear friends, welcome to Seek Reality. I'm Roberta Grimes, and I'm so happy you're with us today. Oh, today our guest is Julie Wignall. Julie is a visionary leader, and she's had a rather unconventional career. And although I think many of our guests, come to think of it, have had unconventional careers, that's part of what makes them interesting. Hers has spanned politics, business, the arts, and environmental conservation. She first gained international recognition for her work with Mirage Resorts International, where she partnered with the chairman and CEO to revolutionize animal welfare and to launch some award-winning educational programs and drive what became an impactful environmental initiative and other things as well. Julie believes in the power that individuals can have to create meaningful change. And I read that sentence twice when I wrote it, and I thought, wow, I think I do too. Individuals are the only people who really can create meaningful change. It never happens in groups. It's people who make the difference. She coined the term Fireflies to describe people who are able to break barriers and illuminate new possibilities in the world. Her multi-award-winning book is called The Extraordinary Power of Fireflies, and there's a firefly, I think, on the front of the book. I haven't looked at the front since I started reading it. And when you think about it, it's really true. Again, people are the ones who make the difference, individual people. She shares interesting stories, fascinating really, about individual people, humble people, many of them who have dared to reach out, break barriers, and try to make a genuine difference in their world and therefore also in ours. Some of her stories really are great. We'll be talking about some of them today. Julie is a speaker, a coach, a consultant, and a workshop leader now, and she helps to equip potential change makers with the tools that they need to align with their purpose and to amplify their impact wherever they are. We have invited her to be our guest today to talk about how each of us can harness our own light, tiny as it might be, a firefly, if you've ever seen one. And I used to watch them in the backyard because how beautiful they are. Each of us can be that little firefly and harness our own light to do meaningful work wherever we are and help to really transform the entire world. Julie, welcome. I'm really I haven't finished it. I'm enjoying your book. I'm delighted to have you with us today.
Thanks, Roberta. It's really an honor to be here.
Well, I hope I can make it feel like an honor as we're talking, because I love reading these stories about people who are as small as a firefly in the world and who really do something powerful with that little bit of light that they are. This little light of mine, I'm going to make it shine. I remember that was a story we used to sing in Girl Scout camp.
Right. And that's one of the reasons why I chose Fireflies. If most people have some kind of a memory of being outside in the summer evening and the twilight's coming and the fireflies start dancing, whether it's in a backyard or across a field, and there's a delight that takes over us, and it's a magic. And what I'm trying to do is to connect people back to that time when we were younger and we believed in that magic, because that magic didn't go away. It didn't change. We began to change. And it's trying to remind people that that magic is still there. You're magical and you're powerful. We're all powerful. And when you think about that tiny little firefly that sparkles at night, that lights up your entire world, just that tiny little beetle. And when people say, oh, how could I make a difference in the world? Well, think of the difference that that tiny little beetle has made in your world. And we each carry a light within us. And I truly believe we are so much more powerful than we give ourselves room to believe. And it's not teaching people how powerful they are. It's reminding, because I believe we all have that encoding within us that we already know that. It's kind of waking that up again to remind people of that. So when I talk about fireflies as people, what I'm talking about are people who have the vision to see beyond what's going on today and what needs to be done. And these are people that aren't waiting. They're not waiting for approval. They're not waiting for permission, whether they're saying there's a problem with homeless that we need to tackle. There's an issue with the environment that we need to tackle. We've become so divisive in so many different things politically. Fireflies don't have time for that because they have a vision of seeing what needs to be done, and they begin taking action to make the world better. My career has been, as you said, very, very unconventional. But as I made my way up the ladder of different fields, what I found was most of the people who were really doing the most, they also had unconventional backgrounds. And I thought, you know what? I want to pull the curtains back for everybody to know. We have this enculturated society belief that you have to do A to get to B, to get to C, to get to D.
Yeah. Career.
And think about when we're little, we're told, oh, Roberta, you can grow up to do anything that you want to do and be anything that you want to be. And we go, yes, that's right. This is a time of our lives when we're playing with fireflies and we know anything and everything is possible. And then somehow, all of a sudden, we become teenagers and people begin to say to us, you know what? Maybe you need to think about something that's going to be better at paying the bills, that's going to be more secure, you need to do this and that. So what we end up with is a population that has a million and one excuses, and misaligned beliefs as to why they really can't do what they want to do, what their heart says to them. This is what I'm here to do. This is what I'm here to accomplish. And it's not always on a world stage. You know, if you can change the world, I say change the world. If you can change your state, change your state. If it's your community. And if you can't have an impact on that, then change yourself, because being happy and transforming yourself also transforms the world. But we forget that and we come up with all of these excuses. You know, I don't have a degree. And people say, well, I don't have that college degree. I can't do that. And then I'll go, okay, look at this person who has that college degree. And they say, well, I have a degree, but it's in the wrong field, so it doesn't count. And whatever it is, we carry with us this concept that we're not good enough, we're not worthy enough, and we don't deserve to be happy. And the truth is I believe that's the whole reason why we're here in the first place.
Yes. One thing you say is fireflies don't question whether they should shine. They aren't fearful of living up to others' expectations, and they don't worry about how they'll be received by the general public. They shine because they can. By doing so, they honor the light within themselves and the light within others. And I thought that was profound.
Well, thank you. And I do believe that. I look at this, I believe in a concept called consilience, which is the concept of taking information from all different subjects and kind of putting them together to give us a better understanding of the world around us. It's not enough to come from a background of science or spirituality or understanding economics. We have to understand things from all different perspectives. And the funny thing is having a background in environmental science and biology, one of the first things that you're taught is that everything is connected.
Right.
Well, yes, and we do that, but we think of everything being connected in nature. And somehow as people, we forget that we are part of nature and we're connected to everything too. And then when you begin to look at things through a spiritual lens, oh, Everything is connected. Then you start looking through a scientific lens. Well, quantum physics is just catching up what ancient mystics have known for thousands of years.
Right.
Everything really is connected on all kinds of different dimensions. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And sometimes I'll go back to biology to say, let's think about some of these insects, how bees see. When I go out into my garden, I know that bees are seeing other colors that I'm not seeing. And dragonflies, when they come and dart around the yard, that they're seeing things differently. There are dimensions that are there that's just because we can't see them. And if we allow ourselves, we can see them a bit and we can feel them. It's all there. It's a matter of how much we want to dive down the rabbit hole, but it is all connected. And in my book, one of the things I wanted to do, yes, my background is unconventional and I shared that information, but I really believe that there's more than one way up to the top of the mountain, and rather than writing, you've seen those books, like the diet books that say, oh, this is the way to lose weight. It's my way. And if you don't follow it, you're not going to lose weight. Or this is the way to make $1 million. You got to follow my path or nothing else. And there are many different paths. And I've included, because of that, 20 people from around the world that are doing absolutely amazing things in terms of shining their lights. And they've all chosen different paths as my way of saying it's not my way or the highway, and it's not any of these people. Each person's got their own path. I've been a student of Jungian psychology for many, many, many years. And Carl Jung once said, if the path before you is clear, you're probably on someone else's. So as we set out to shine brighter, that path isn't always clear. And we go, I'm not sure what the next step is. Part of that is gaining awareness and building up that confidence and belief and faith to know that this is the right path, and the path will begin to appear before you as you start taking action and taking those first steps.
When I had young kids, I mean, I literally, the youngest was a baby. We had a famous next door neighbor. He was Dick Gregory. His family lived right down the hill from us, but they were the ones who lived in the expensive house. Was right on the lake, and we lived right up the hill. And we were just starting out. My husband was just starting his medical practice, but they had two teenage daughters who babysat for us, so I got to know them pretty well. And of course, this was many years ago, and so Dick Gregory was a crusader. We didn't see him much, but we got to know his family pretty well. And of course, his wife was a little cool to us. I mean, she had just come through a very tough time for black-white relations, and I don't think she ever really trusted us, but the kids did because they knew us as people who loved them. She had, and we only saw him when he got a new idea. He would get a new idea, and he would come up the hill on a weekend day, and he would tell us his new idea, which I always found fascinating, that he thought that was what we would want to hear from him. Nothing casual about neighborhood things. He was not interested in a little town in New England. He was interested in the world. Fascinating, man, fascinating. But anyway, she had on her wall a little tablet that said, "Bloom where you are planted." And I thought, what wisdom that is.
Yeah.
Wisdom. Because if you had just come through the horrible time that the 50s and the 60s were for a Black family,
Wow.
that's what you would have to do. And
That advice still holds true today, I believe. And even if you're trying to reach out to the world, you also have to pay attention to where you are and what's what's happening around you. And, I say, Roberta, sometimes, sometimes we get that opportunity to really have an amazing impact on the world. But we also have to learn how to be kind to ourselves. And sometimes the biggest thing that we impact in the world is getting up out of bed, or sometimes being a caretaker for a family member. And sometimes that has just right where you are. And those things that we feel are so small and insignificant, they're not small and insignificant to the people that we impact that are around us. And they do have a transforming effect.
What wisdom, and what a beautiful family they were. I mean, he had 10 children, and they
Wow.
were each in their own way such beautiful people. I mean,
Wow.
his daughters were wonderful. I just loved them to pieces. I still love them. I mean, I hear from them on occasion, even now.
Well, and think about, they came from a time when things were really unconventional in terms of racial relationships. And that's why I refer to myself as an unconventional activist, because I don't think of myself as rebellious or fighting against things. My way may just be unconventional, but when we have more and more people who live the unconventional begins to become conventional. I was adopted, and I was adopted during a time where nobody talked about it, and you tried to keep this quiet from your kids. And
Oh my goodness, really? That's too bad because how much
oh,
richness there is that comes from that.
my grandmother tried to convince my mother to go away for a year and come back and say, "Look, I had a baby. This is mine." And my mother
My
was
goodness, that's
unconventional.
wonderful. But that's too
And
bad that,
But she became unconventional, and there are other people who became unconventional with it. We still have a far way to go, but adoption is not a big deal anymore. And
no.
it's something that's shared, that's very
Oh no, one
acceptable.
of my grandchildren is adopted, and I swear he was adopted when he was 16, and I swear I held him as a baby. You cannot convince me I did not. I love him
I
oh so, so much.
I get that, but look at how society has changed with that. So my feeling is those things that we're not happy with, we need to start living and creating the world that we want to live in.
Yeah,
When I with clients, one of the things that comes up a lot, because fear is universal, everybody has fear, is the world I want to live in is one where we can be authentic, where we can talk about those fears. We don't do things and gain courage because we master our fears or we overcome them. We develop and cultivate courage by welcoming those fears in, understanding them, letting them walk to the side of us, but making sure we're not giving them the power to direct the direction that we're going to move in. Because
yeah.
it's that fear, it's those shadows, it's all of the beliefs that we carry that, we're not good enough. That becomes our shadow. And that's where fireflies shine their brightest, is in the dark.
Yeah.
So you have to bring that all together to really move forward.
And all your different fireflies are all over the world. They were all in different places. And therefore the way that they chose to shine was all in different ways. And yet the different, and they came from different spiritual backgrounds, and yet the spirituality is all the same. I mean, we all really truly are one, and each of the different kinds of spirituality teaches ultimately the same thing. I mean, do you know A Course in Miracles
Yeah.
says that we are all one, and who dictated A Course in Miracles? Of course, it was Jesus in the 1960s. It's all one spirituality too.
And all that information is still there. The information from the ancients is around us today.
Yes, yes.
All of that information, if we just tap into it, there's an ancient Buddhist saying that where a student goes to its master and says, "Master, how do I treat others?" And the master says, "There are no others,
That's
because
right. That's
we
right.
are one."
Yes,
And
yes.
even going back to the ancient
Jesus
Sanskrit,
said, love your neighbor as yourself.
And yes, and there are little tidbits of all that that come through and all these different things. You know, yoga has become very popular today. And what do people say in any yoga class? Oh, it's namaste. Well, namaste comes from the ancient Sanskrit, which actually means the light in me sees the light.
Light in you, yes.
And, you know, Jesus talked about light. This is continuing. All of this information is there if we
It
just
is
look at it.
all one.
Yes. And I tell people, if you really want to know more or to try to understand life more, look at nature. The answers are all there. I mean, the answers are all within us. But if you want a good reminder, take a look at nature. A tree does not need to believe in photosynthesis to have its leaves change colors, to build up that greenness. They lose their
We are
leaves.
coming to understand that each forest is in continuous communication among all the different trees. And
Yes.
they recognize their own seedlings and they take care of them and protect them. Yes. Yeah.
And it's amazing. And it's a different kind of communication that we don't always open our minds up to because it doesn't communicate the way that we feel we're supposed to
They don't
communicate.
use a voice. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. Could they possibly be communicating? Deeply, deeply do they communicate? Oh
Yes,
yeah.
and not only that, you know, in Africa, that's one of the reasons why acacia trees are still there because giraffes love to eat the leaves off of the acacia trees, but when they overgraze and eat too much, the tree sends a signal to itself to say, we're going to change the flavor of these leaves so it tastes bitter so that the giraffes don't want it anymore. And they send out messages to all of the other trees to say, it's
I need
time
to be
to
bitter, guys.
yeah, these giraffes are eating a little bit too much. I wish food could do that for me. But
Well, unfortunately, chocolate still tastes good, right?
right? To say all of a sudden, oh, I've eaten too much. Maybe it should start tasting bitter. But the trees do that. And that's one of the ways that they keep in balance. And we spend time in our culture and society talking about the importance of balance, but what we don't always stop to realize is balance is a constant shifting and pivoting of where we are. If you stand in one static position, you're not really in balance because you got to sway a little bit one side and sway a
That's
bit
right.
to
That's
the other
so,
side.
so very true. Absolutely right. But it is astonishing one of the reasons I really am enjoying your book and will finish it. Many of these books I don't finish after I've interviewed people, is to see how worldwide it are these fireflies. They're all over the world. And in some of the poorest countries still, people feel drawn and inspired to help other people in their simple, small ways. And it's not small at all. It's quite huge.
No, and I'll tell you what's wonderful about the people that I've written about. It's I'm still in contact with everyone, and they're fireflies, so they're still growing. And these people continue to inspire me every single day. One of the things I realized in writing the book, because I cover all different age ranges, as well as cultures, is the importance of if you really want to accomplish something, doing it in a multi-generational format, that we need people who are older than us to give us their wisdom and insight. We need people who are still in their 30s and 40s and raising families to hear what they're going through today because it's a different world than it was when we were going through that. And to hear from teenagers and to hear from that 10-year-old, that same light that remembers and knows that we're magic and we are powerful beyond our wildest dreams, to remind us and to remind us to play and to remind us to lighten up and to remind us to have a good time while we're here too. And putting that all together. And these people are still doing things. One of the people I wrote about, Roberta, John Francis, This was a guy who was very, very upset about the environment when he was younger. There had been an oil spill, and that's all he talked about. And he drove his friends absolutely crazy. And all he heard from them was, John, could you just shut up? Could you shut up? And it was his birthday. And as a birthday gift to all of his friends, John said, I'm going to be quiet. I'm not going to say a word today. I'm going to listen. And by the end of the day, he said he had learned so much just by listening to people instead of talking that he decided to stay quiet. And he actually stayed quiet for the next 17 years, which
I saw that. Yeah.
was
Yeah.
wild. And they call him Planet Walker. He's got an organization where he walks and he'll take people with him. And he walks different places around the world. Well, this man is now 78 years old. And as the book came out, I get an email from him saying, Julie, if you need to reach me, I'd love to talk to you, but I'm actually taking a flight tomorrow. I'm flying to Johannesburg in South Africa. And he lives here in the States, but he says, I'm flying to South Africa and it's my goal. I'm going to walk from South Africa all the way up to Kenya. And this is at 78 years old. And it's like, yes, you're never too old to do anything. One of the women that I wrote
That is
about.
so true. It is
Yeah.
absolutely true. I
One
mean,
of
we used to think of the 70s as old. I no longer think of the 80s as old.
No, one of the women that I wrote about, Georgia Efford, is part of a movement. She's an artist that was help creating dolls and dolls of color to send to the
Right.
the KwaZulu Natal area in South Africa to deal with kids and help nurture them and take care of other needs that they have aside from just food and shelter. Well, Georgia is 84 and she just had her very first one-woman art show in Perth, Australia. So it's like, yes and no, the 80s are no longer, oh, we're too old to do
No,
anything.
not when you're 90, you're looking toward becoming old.
Yes.
That's the threshold toward old age. That's being 90. 90, you have to start taking better care of your health.
Agreed.
I'm
Agreed.
telling you, that's it. That's an age when your body may start to break down.
Yes. And I think a lot of this has to do too with how happy we are. And we forget to
You
think
have
about,
to be happy.
we
You
forget to think
have,
about what makes us
being happy
happy.
is central because if you are happy, you really don't even notice the numbers. You get up every day and you can't wait to get back to living. You're living
Exactly.
your life so happy. Oh, no question.
Yes. And knowing the things that make us happy, which we
Yeah,
don't often stop to think about because when we do, we realize it's not only connecting with, our purpose that gives our life meaning, but it's also those little moments throughout the day. It's when you take a walk outside or you hear the birds sing or you're petting an animal or having dinner with friends or lunch or it's those
I,
connecting
I realized
moments.
early on the only things that really make you happy are when other people are part of it and you're able to make them happy.
Yeah.
When you're doing something that you know somebody else is going to be happy about, that just makes your day.
Exactly. Well, and I was thinking about this a lot. The people that I've written about, many of them overcame really great, great odds in terms of what they were
Yeah.
doing. Um, but one of the things that I think is communal amongst all of them is that one of the keys to getting to where they were is helping others.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, that's
I
what I mean. Yeah, it's just so great.
I wrote about Rita, who at the age was in Uganda, and at the young age, she wasn't even 7 years old yet. Her parents were murdered in front of her by rebels, and you think, oh, this is so horrible. How do you ever overcome that? And she was taken into a prisoner camp, And there was a woman within the camp who knew what her future looked like if she stayed and made arrangements for Rita, and she has a twin sister, made arrangements for her to leave the camp and escape with an older woman. And they walked to Kenya to get to a refugee camp there. And you think about, you're carrying so much grief. How do you work with that? Well, yoga helped Rita. She discovered yoga and she discovered Christianity, and they gave her the balance that she needed. But then the thing that took it over the top is she began working with other refugees and teaching them what she had learned, to say, this might be the way for you, maybe it's not, but this is what's worked for me, and helping other people
Oh,
tends to
yes, that would really
help
open her heart
ourselves.
wide, wide. That would be absolutely right. Oh, yes.
Yeah. And
Here are gifts I can give you, and oh, and then she gets to see them smile. Oh my goodness, how wonderful.
yes, and one of my favorites when I'm dealing with people who are younger, and it's like, oh, but I don't have this and I don't have that, is I wrote about the recycled orchestra of
Yes,
Way. And
yes,
these are people that live on this landfill. It's the biggest landfill in the country, and
yeah.
they are as poor as can be, but
Yeah,
being
their houses are built out of pieces of landfill.
exactly, because being poor doesn't mean that you're ignorant. They're incredibly innovative. And when Fabio Chavez, who I wrote about, was working on the landfill through a government agency, he saw the kids there and he saw all the potential, and he became friends with the people that were there. And he's got a background in music and said, I would love to create an orchestra. And the first thought, which would be common amongst all of us, well, maybe we can find someone to donate the money to get us musical instruments. But Fabio knew enough to say, if I had that, if someone said, here's $1 million, get these kids instruments, they'd all be stolen within 24 hours. So instead, he went to use the innovation that was already there, and they worked to create musical instruments from things that are in the landfill. And I mean, they made violins out of discarded license plates. There's a giant timpani drum that the sides of the drum are actually discarded medical waste. They're huge x-rays, but they work great. And he created an orchestra. Now, these kids were big fans, when they first started out, of Metallica, the hard rock heavy metal band, and they wrote them a letter, and the band actually went to visit them, and they ended up being invited to tour a bit with Metallica. And the next thing that happened was they couldn't even leave the country. It took months because they didn't have passports. They didn't have regular birth certificates. They had to put
Yeah.
everything together. But Fabio still works with them now. These kids have been traveling around the world. They've been exposed to so many different things. But Fabio has them all wear t-shirts no matter where they go. And their motto is, the world sends us trash, and we send back music. And I can't think of anything that's more powerful than that, with, the divisiveness that's there, with people just being mean and unhappy. That comes your way, you give back music. And whether that's in a kind word or it's in a smile or anything, it's a great motto to live by.
Oh, of course.
And he teaches the kids, just because you have nothing is no excuse to do nothing. And
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean, it's so inspirational. The book is so inspirational because it makes you realize wherever you are and how little you have, you can still do so much for other people.
right. And, that's why I cover people from so many different backgrounds. And I have this separated a little bit. And some people go through a spiritual route. Some people are making changes through business. And some people are doing it through social justice. Some people are doing it through the environment. And I actually have a whole piece on the arts, because I really believe we undervalue how important the arts are. The arts speak to us on a spiritual level. I can sit here and say, oh, Roberta, here's my 10-point plan for making the future better. But if I show you a picture or a sculpture or a moving song that talks about how everything is one or how we're all connected, that's going to move you more than anything that
Mhm.
I'm going to say as a lecture. And that's because the arts, like spirituality, it speaks to our heartstrings and then makes its way up to our intellectual center. But that's where all of our information is in our heart center. That's where we start with our light, and that's where we connect with each other. I believe that that's just
Yeah,
the most
and
important thing
it's
of
so
all.
inspirational to see people doing with what they have,
Yeah.
really doing with what they have. It's just,
And that is that realization that we all have that power within us to
yeah,
transform ourselves, to transform the world around us. And if there's not a clear way to do that, then we become a bit unconventional and we speak in different ways.
yes, yeah.
I mean, even in terms of the book, I look at, I've been able to have a great impact environmentally here. And part of this, because I live in the Southwest desert, and there are really things that we need to do to get into balance more. But it's not picketing. It's not protesting or screaming or yelling that's given me the inroads to my local representatives and politicians. It's working at educating and working at connecting and building relationships. We have to stop treating people who see things differently than us as the enemy. We need all of these
No,
different,
because you just harden people's hearts.
right.
They're just not going to listen to you.
No, and we need all these viewpoints to give us a better understanding of the
Hmm.
world around us to be accepting. One of the things I write about is there are over 2,000 species of fireflies, and they
Wow, I didn't have any idea about that.
and they shine in different colors. They
Oh,
shine in
who knew
yellows
that?
and greens and oranges and blues. So this is a family of fireflies that accept a wide range of diversity and embrace it. And
Hmm.
we need to be doing the same. And
One
one
of
of
the
the things,
things that is very encouraging to me about what I've seen is that I live in a state that was a part of the Confederacy. I live in Texas. Great big state, very loving state. We're a third black, a third white, a third Hispanic, and we've lived here for 25 years. We have never, in my experience in Texas, I've never seen the slightest bit of anything but love
yeah,
across all the races. Everybody loves everybody else. A lot of kindness, a lot of friendliness, a lot of which all lives. We all live completely mixed, as far as I can see. I think the only thing that separates us is economics, if anything. But I live in a mixed race neighborhood. Everybody seems to, and I
what?
love that about my state.
Yes,
Nobody cares, which
no, I'm
nobody
there
should
with
care.
you. Yeah. When my daughter was young and going to school, people said to me, oh, don't you want to put her in a private school? And I said, I can teach her academics. I've got a background in science and history and all these things.
Yeah.
I can make sure that that's there, but she needs that socialization. And it was great to see her in a school and it was completely mixed. I would say it was a third Latin, Latino, Hispanic, a third, Asian. We have a huge Asian
You have a
community.
lot of Asian people too here. Yeah.
And then it was a third mixture of white Caucasian and black. But the kids would show up and it wasn't, I never had to deal with oh, I need that new $250 pair of shoes. Someone would say, oh, I like your t-shirt. Where'd you get it? My mom picked it up at Walmart. Where'd you get yours? My mom picked it up at Target.
And we have a lot of people who are from India here now as well, as I think about it.
Yes.
Nobody ever cares. Nobody cares.
It brightens our community. It gives us diversity. It gives us things to share and exchange, and it builds us stronger. But again, go back to nature and you'll find that diversity is what it's all about. If we don't have that diversity, we only have a single crop of something, that whole thing can be wiped out. We need that diversity to maintain our strength and to move forward and to,
I have a sense that that's how it is across the American South now.
yeah,
That's the 60s are a long time ago. The 50s are the no one cares. Nobody. And knowing that makes me feel very hopeful about the future
yes.
of
Well,
America.
talking to younger people and their views and beliefs. And I love the fact there's a huge movement right now that started in Europe, and I know it's going to be here, that is just internet free zones of let's get back and just connect. I think everybody is anxious to reconnect with other people. The
Mhm.
internet has been great and it puts us in touch with people all over the world, and it's got so many benefits of what we can do now with technology, but it still doesn't take the place of that one-on-one connection that
Mhm.
I believe we all crave because we know that we're all one. So we want to connect with the other parts of ourselves. And that's exactly what it is when we're in a room with other people.
Mhm.
And I think we're getting back to that. I think that this is something that some of our younger population is really, truly craving. And I really see that change taking place. And then at that point, we get the best of both worlds. We get the best of what we can do in terms of technology, and we get the best of what we can do connecting with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the future to me looks pretty wonderful.
Yeah. And
Just,
we make new strides every single day. And as people stand up to be the fireflies that they were meant to be, to shine their light brighter, it truly does transform the world. There's no reason to wait. You have nothing that you need to wait for. You can do it right now. You can do it today. I have an exercise, a list of exercises that are downloadable on my website for free. But one of them is actually, Roberta, how do you maneuver? We call it the grocery store exercise. And it's as simple as how do you make your way through a grocery store? What are you aware of? Are you aware of the people around you? Would you know if there's someone at the end of an aisle that needs help getting a can down from a top shelf? How do you treat if there's a grocery cart in the middle of the aisle? Do you push it aside? Do you go around it? Do you say, excuse me? Or do you just go down another aisle and come back a different way? Do you talk to the person, the cashier that checks you out? How do we maneuver through our every single day? And that's a reflection. It's what do we say? As above, so below. So
mhm.
as that comes up and we begin connecting with those people around us, we start seeing the light in everyone. We start connecting on a bigger scale and a bigger scale and a bigger scale.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. Well, that's hopefully what we begin more and more to do, than to see the light in each person around us. And
And we need that kindness. Coming from that strong background of Jungian psychology, I believe every single person, we all have shared desires, the desire to be seen, the desire to be heard. We all, each and every one of us, want to feel like what we're doing matters to somebody, matters to us. And then our fourth pillar of that is we all want to feel that we're connected to something bigger, to something greater. And when you put all of those components together, That's what gets us happy, and that's the first shift that starts to transform the world.
But people need to understand even more that it makes them, it's the best thing you can do for yourself. It makes you so happy. People want to feel young. If there's anything that makes you feel young, it's being kind to other people. That's the secret to the fountain of youth. It really is.
Agreed. And I think one of the other things that we need to pay attention to is we live within a culture and a society that tells us, wait. You'll be happy after you get your degree. You'll be happy
Oh,
after
that's
you
true.
get your
Oh,
house.
good.
You'll be
Oh,
happy. And we set up these milestones. And
stop
when we
waiting. You're absolutely right, my darling. You're,
celebrate
yes.
now, right? Because what do when we reach one of these milestones and we go, I did it and I got the job promotion, this and
And
that.
then there's
We,
always another rung to the ladder, isn't there?
yes,
Yeah. You're
we
always
sit.
looking up. There's another other rung above it.
That's right. And I
I'll
say,
be
oh, we
happy
made
when I
it.
have $1 million. Well, you know what? That's the first rung.
You're right. Because, I always wanted to speak another language and, to be bilingual, this is the greatest thing. And I speak French in addition to English. I worked for a French company, but as
Oh my
soon as
goodness. Well, if you could speak French, then you got to start speaking Latin or you got
well,
to start
yes,
speaking Lithuanian. I mean, there's so many other languages. Have you ever noticed?
ex exactly. So, and what happened as soon as I became bilingual, all of a sudden I noticed everybody in my sphere now, they all speak 4 and 5 languages. And I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh,
What's
the
wrong with
next
you?
right, the next rung up of the ladder. And, it's like you make it to the mountain, and what do? We accomplish this big milestone, and we spend about 10 seconds patting ourselves on the back, going, "Oh,
You
this
get
is
to the
great! I
top
did
of the
this."
mountain and you realize that was just the first foothill. And
Yes, and then we turn around and we go, "Oh, there's another
there's a
mountain, and
bigger
there's another
mountain.
mountain,
Yes.
and let's
Oh,
do that."
you're right.
And when we sit and we talk about this, when we've made that, we don't talk about all our successes. We sit and talk about all the things that went wrong and all of the failures that we had. But look, here we are. So, and in terms of creating that world that we want to live in, I want to live in a world too where we are more accepting of failures because it is those failures that get us up the mountain in the first place.
Yes. Oh,
And
yes, my love. That's exactly right.
because that's what we do. We don't sit and say, "Oh, remember the wonderful thing we did here." And here we go, "Oh, remember the fiasco that we tried to do." Because, and
That's
that,
right.
because now we're looking at it in hindsight and we can laugh about it. But yes, and then we're always looking to the next mountain. So
Oh,
always on that journey. And we always say, appreciate the journey. It's the journey, not the destination.
it is the journey. And be that 78-year-old who says, you know what, I'm going to walk across Africa because that's what I feel like doing today. That's what you need to
Exactly.
be.
And it's enjoying it. It's like stop giving lip service to this and really enjoy it and enjoy the ups and enjoy the
Dive deep
downs.
into your life.
Yes.
Enjoy every single step. Oh, yes. And never, ever, ever think that it's the next step that's going to feel good because it has to be every tiny from the first step you take as a baby.
Right.
Proud of that first step you took as a baby and every step you take after and enjoy every one of them
And
because
they
they're
don't
all,
have to be giant steps. They can be
no, they
baby
can be
steps.
little steps. All those steps are so precious.
Yeah.
And say, look, I did it. I did it, Mom. Oh, yeah. Every single one of them. They're all so beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you this, fireflies, there are two specific species of fireflies that actually shine together. And they light up the forest. We have one, they're called the synchronous fireflies. You can find them in the Smoky Mountains in the United States, and they're also found in Malaysia. And they don't come out until later at night, or it becomes so dark that you can't quite see your fingertips. But when I tell you the entire forest lights up, It's enchanting. And in the Smoky Mountains, they also have the blue ghost fireflies, which tend to hover among the forest floor. So you look down, they look like little landing lights when they come out. And then the trees, the entire forest becomes illuminated because fireflies are coming from everywhere and they're shining their lights together. And it shows you when we as individuals start shining our lights, we actually end up giving permission to other people to do it too. Oh, she's doing it. He's doing it. I have a light and I have a purpose and this is giving me permission. I can jump on that too.
Yeah.
And then when we all gather, each is our own independent
This
being.
little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Yeah.
Exactly. And then we shine together, we completely light up the darkness.
And we'll light up the whole world.
Right.
Oh,
And that's why we
perfect.
need fireflies doing everything. Because if we all did it the same way, then it just becomes a really strong light bulb. If we want to light up the world, we each have to do it in our own
In our
way.
own way.
Yeah.
Oh, perfectly said. We have gone so far over our time, but I love what you're saying. Yes. Oh, Julie, thank you so, so, so much.
Oh, Roberta, thank you. This has been a pleasure.
A real pleasure. We'll have you back. We've got to talk more about fireflies. Oh, my darling. Well, I just need to talk a little bit with my dear friends about what we're going to be doing next. So just give me a few minutes to talk with them. Oh, well, this has been really fun. I want to now I have a new ambition. I want to walk across Africa. That would be so wonderful. Oh, once again, my dearly beloved friends, we've come to the end of our time. I'm so sorry. This has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. I'm very glad you could be with us today. Please, please never forget that you are a powerful, eternal being. You never began. You never, ever will end. If you are alive right now, then you will be alive forever. And when you really get that, everything in your life changes forever for the better. Next week, our guest will be medium and sensitive Carol J. Obley. She's going to be with us for the first time, and her book is The Art of Sensing, a guide for staying true to your soul's journey through challenging times. Carol herself is just kind of delightful, and she reached out to me personally, and people almost never do that. They always reach out through an agent, and she and I have been emailing. I think you're going to like her because she's kind of interesting just all by herself. The fact that she thought she didn't even need an agent. She just said, please have me on your show. So I think please join us next week. I think we're going to have fun with her. Today we've been talking with Julie Wignall, who is the author of a book called The Extraordinary Power of Fireflies, and you can be one too. Her book is about people who have been using their own lights, bright, dim. There are how many thousand, she said, of different kinds of fireflies, all colors. Fireflies don't question whether they should shine. They aren't fearful of living up to anybody else's expectations. They just plain shine because they can in their own way. And by doing so, they honor the light that's within themselves. I love this idea. And she gives us in that book, which I am still reading, wonderful examples of people who bloom where they are planted and they shine and they help to light up the whole world. I think everybody ought to read this book and then think about what they can do to help to make this world a little brighter place. The book is The Extraordinary Power of Firefly. I can't even talk anymore. We've been talking so much. The Extraordinary Power of Fireflies, and it is an inspiration. And I don't have time to talk about anything else. We've run hopelessly over, but please just remember that Craig Hogan is our own inspiration. And Seek Reality Online, seekreality.com, is your one-stop resource for all things afterlife. And that's all I have really time to talk about. So please just remember that this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Please enjoy, please make the most of this coming week in our one reality, always knowing that you are a powerful, eternal being, and you, most of all, in this entire universe, you in particular are infinitely, eternally, and perfectly loved.
You've been listening to Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Roberta blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Join us every week as we explore what the afterlife evidence and modern science combine to tell us is true about the one reality we all share. Knowing the truth changes everything.